Michigan's quarterback situation is going to lose them a few games, and I'll tell you why. Going between Cade McNamara and JJ McCarthy is a
QB
it's a
carousels don't work.
No, they do not. And so first off, Cade's obviously the worst QB. And I know that we say that JJ McCarthy does not have enough experience with the team, right? Here's my issue with that. Okay, now here's the thing too, is that Michigan's coming off of a season where their head coach should have been fired. Okay, Jim Harbaugh should be gone. He took a massive pay cut to stay on this team, to stay as the coach of this team. Okay, now so at this point, if I was a Michigan fan, if you go 9-3, but you have a good QB going into next season, like, you know what's going to happen. Like, when's the last time that you could confidently say that we have a good QB this season, we know who it is, and we're good at the QB position? Like, when is the last time the Michigan's had that? If Michigan goes 9-3, but they have a QB at the end, like, even if they lose to Ohio State, if coming off of a year where you had to switch QBs, you fucked up Joe Milton. Like, Joe Milton just wasn't good, did not fit the expectation. Like, you come off of a season where you just you didn't know what was going to happen, but you went 9-3, you stayed competitive, even if they beat Michigan State and they go 10-2. Like, even that is but they have a QB in JJ McCarthy. And my problem though is that if you actually stick with Cade McNamara, like, do you think that, can you confidently say that he's going to go to the NFL next year? He's a junior, right? Like, if he's a senior next year, I think he stays at Michigan 100%. Like, I would not trust that he's going to come back, like, and be, like, good. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want him as my QB next year.
No, I don't want him either. I want JJ.
And that's the issue that I have.
But here's the thing. I want JJ next year. I don't want him as a raw freshman.
And I agree. And I agree with that. Now, what's the problem, though, is that if you don't get him acclimated this year, then what happens?
Well, he's a freshman, Brett. Most freshmen don't play.
But here's the thing, okay? So if you honestly have Cade McNamara finish the season, what happens to him? Like, are you going to have a QB battle next year?
No, he heads for the transfer portal. See you later. Or because
do you trust that Jim Harbaugh is going to make that decision, though?
No, I'm telling you what I'd do. I'm telling you exactly what I would do. And I would say I think Cade has the arm talent. He's got the cannon. I think and he's obviously untested. He's a freshman. There is a lot we don't know.
Yeah.
And we see how he does. But my thing is, we know what Cade is. He's a junior. He is not a great passer. He's a game manager. Whereas Cade is more the gunslinger. So I'd rather see...
What are the advantages of playing Cade McNamara now?
What was that?
What are the advantages of playing Cade McNamara now?
He's safe. He's not going to make mistakes. He's not going to turn the ball over.
Here's a scenario that I have then.
Okay.
If Michigan
He's really good at handing the ball off.
He's not, because he fell while doing it.
Okay, I can forgive that. That was
he fell while handing the ball off.
I can forgive. It was one time. That's his best asset, is that he is very safe with the ball. He does not turn it over, whether throwing or fumbling.
Yeah, he fell before he fumbled it. So here's the issue I have. Okay, so what happens if this QB shit loses you a game? Because I think it is. What happens when that water level starts rising? What happens when the talent you face gets better, and Ohio State, is a better team? Or okay, let's start with Michigan State. Michigan State has better talent than Michigan has faced right now. Okay, now what happens when Cade McNamara can't run the ball, struggles passing the ball, and then you hand it to JJ McCarthy and he's not familiar with the offense? And, you don't know what's going to happen, right?
Here's what I'll tell you. Michigan will have trouble running the ball. They'll still run it, and they'll still run it somewhat effectively, but they're not going to run it like they normally do.
Okay.
Cade's going to start throwing it. Michigan State has awful corners. And they do. And that is what is going to allow Cade to look okay in that game. He's going to be safe. He's going to move the ball downfield, and once they're in the red zone, they'll go back to trying to run it in. Use your powerful asset to get into the end zone. But when you go against the Penn State and you go against Ohio State, now here's the thing with Ohio State. This is a year where their corner group is probably the weakest it's ever been.
Yeah.
So potentially, Cade could be fine. Again, pick apart those corners. Maybe he does okay. But I do worry if you need to rely on him too much, eventually he might make a mistake. Because here's the thing. He's safe with the ball as in his decision-making, but his arm talent might hurt him. So as of right now, Cade is just the safe option. But
So then here's what happens. Okay, now what happens when... And I like what Jim Harbaugh's doing. I haven't been obviously, you know this. I haven't been a big fan of him. I wish he would have just gone. I mean, I know that,
But this year,
and I'm not saying
he's
that
done
you get
all right.
rid of the
He's
guy.
definitely beaten expectations.
Oh, absolutely. But what happens when Cade, doesn't do great? Okay, so say hypothetically, sky falls. Okay, Michigan loses to Michigan State on October 30th. Michigan loses Michigan State. Okay, now both teams 7-0. Michigan would be 7-1.
Michigan.
At that point.
So you're saying MSU wins, Michigan loses.
Yes. Okay. What happens because I have a feeling, and I don't know that this would happen, but I have a feeling that if things aren't working with Cade, at a desperate attempt to regain control, Jim Harbaugh might swap him.
Absolutely.
Switch him out.
Yep.
Do you think that happens and then JJ becomes the rest of the... Because if I was a Michigan fan, I would want Cade to fuck up, Michigan to swap to JJ McCarthy. Like, that's what I would want. And then that JJ McCarthy is your quarterback going in next season. Because if Cade McNamara finishes the season as QB, there's no guarantee that there won't be a QB battle next season.
That's true.
And that's I think that's my concern. If I was a Michigan fan, I would want to know that JJ McCarthy is going to be my QB 100% by next year.
I think I said this a couple weeks ago. If losing this year, if you lose to Penn State and Ohio State, but you beat like MSU, because I think MSU is beatable with Cade. I think our teams are pretty neck and neck in
they're pretty even,
we have different
we
have different areas where we both have good running games, right? But
I think
Michigan State has a way better
stronger
passing attack, but Michigan I think has a way better defense in terms of all around.
You're right.
So it's like it's going to be a good game. That's why I'm excited for this one because Michigan has a shot, Michigan State has a shot. It's going to be fun, but I'm not looking forward to Ohio State because I still think they lose. But here's what I want. You can beat Michigan State with Cade because, like we mentioned, bad corners. But my thing is if you lose to Penn State and you lose to Ohio State, but you put Cade in those games, you put JJ in at some point in those games and you let him play, and you see JJ is just a talent machine. He's perfect. Not perfect, but he looks fantastic. He looks like your starting QB for the next 2 to 3 years, depending on if he's that good. He's gone after his junior year to go pro. So, if that's what happens and you lose to Penn State and Ohio State, I am okay with it. I'm fine with losing to those teams this year if it means you got quarterback.